We've got another 2 over 3 episode. I've got Peter Duke with me from all the way from Los Angeles in California. We've got 3 images from the same photographer, 5-minute clock, 4-minute bell. Pete, I've just sent him the link, is just getting them up in his browser right now, and I'm going to start the clock and throw it to Pete now. Okay, and we've got 3 images from Pete Zelewski from Detroit, Michigan in the US, who's currently living in London. And what do you think of this first one? Looks like it's from a series. The People of Soho is the series, and this first one, Face Stylist. What do you think of this, Pete?
Well, she's a face stylist, but I think that she's got the whole thing together. The technique on the shot is really, it's one of my favorite things, to use a longer lens and to knock the background out of focus using a large aperture. And it really brings the focus of the photograph to the person's face. And style, I mean, this picture is impeccably styled. There's no accidents in this photograph. Her hair, her eyebrows, her eyes, her earrings, her nose jewel, her lip color, her fur scarf, her print blouse. I mean, it's all completely pulled together. And then it's all tied up with a bow. The context of this shot, the eye contact just sucks you straight into it. And it's hard to take your eyes off of hers.
Yeah, I looked at this and I was immediately drawn to it. I think the first thing my eyes go to are her eyes, followed by her lips. And then I fill out the detail in between, and certainly that nose stud that she's got as a detail there. I also find it interesting that because it is shot with such a high aperture, and we kind of got this bokeh out as we run down the sides of her face, that we've got these large golden earrings that she's wearing, which I think that if we had a longer depth of field would have been somewhat distracting. And I think the fact that they have started to blur out just kind of dulls them down a bit, so that we can remain focused on, I guess, the main point of this image, which is her face. I do like those large eyebrows and her fringe, or bangs as you guys call them. Great image. I really like this one. I'm certainly drawn in and almost mesmerized by those eyes. You really do get a sense of being able to look into, eyes being the window to someone's soul, and being able to certainly peer through her eyes. All right, what do we think of the second one? The second one is the People of Soho Metalhead.
Yeah, we're using the same technique again. We're using the long lens and the wide aperture. So the only thing really in focus is this guy's face, which is amazing. And I'm really drawn to the styling of the curls in the background there, the kind of soft focus hanging out there. You can almost feel the spring in them. And then once again, the context of eye contact is always something that will always pull you straight into the photograph. It's interesting because this guy's expression is very similar to the last one that we looked at, which is kind of ambivalent. You can't really tell whether or not he's looking at you in a positive or a negative way. And that's slightly...
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's very kind of neutral expression. I think the thing that struck me, whereas the first one, I think with both of these images, the first thing I notice is the eyes. But I think the big contrast between this one and the first one for me is, in the first one, I'm very much drawn into the eyes and was able to explore and get a sense of, or perceive a sense of the person that we were looking at. This one, I get 2 eyes that are just inky blackness. And I feel like I'm still being sucked into them, but as you were saying, it's a very neutral kind of projection in terms of whether this guy is happy with us or unhappy with us, or really what he's thinking. So, yeah, interesting contrast. Okay, let's go to the third one. And the third one, the People of Soho, Eyes Wide Shut. What do you think of this one, Pete?
I think that her eyes are very green, and they are a great contrast to her peachy lips. Yeah, on the technique here, the only thing in this shot that's in focus seems to be her eyes and her eyebrows, maybe the tip of her nose. And that really pulls you in again. And the style of this photograph is all about framing her face and the color of her eyes and her lips.
I think I'm particularly taken with her lips. I think certainly her eyes, and like the first image we looked at, I do get a sense of being able to look into her eyes, and I get a sense of innocence looking at this model. But certainly when I get down to those lips and explore the detail there, it almost takes on a painterly quality, certainly down towards the lips, and just a great image. Okay, well, we've run out of time. Let's go to the top and try to score them. What are you going to give the first one? Face Stylist.
I'm going to give it a 5. There's very few things that I could think of to improve this image.
Yeah, 5 for me. Nothing more I could say. Metalhead, what are you going to give that one?
You know what? I'm going to give it a 4. I like it a lot, but I'm not sure that it's got the level of interest that the first one does.
I'm going to give it a 5 because I think once I talked about it and I was able to contrast it with the first image, although I find it almost unsettling that I can't read this guy like I could read the face of the first one.
You love those limpid pools that he got.
Yes. All right, and the third one, what are you going to give Eyes Wide Shut?
You know what? I'm going to give this one a 4 also. I like it a lot, but the first one just really sings for me, and I think this one pales by comparison a little bit.
I agree with you wholeheartedly with that first one, but I think, and perhaps I'm just too easy, but I've got to say 5 for this. I just think all three are terrific images. I think the first one certainly does stand out above the other two, but certainly 3 great images. Okay, and there you have it. We've got 3 images from Pete Zelewski from Detroit, Michigan in the US, and I'd just like to thank Pete for sharing these 3 great images with us all on Flickr.